Hunter? Grandmaster. Grandmaster. Okay, this is how they dress. Muslim. He only thinks he's a Muslim. Or he thought. He's in the grave now. Now, this is a picture of some old Masons. You see, they like to wear this hat, the fez. Yeah. This is in 1938, benefit in All Cairo. Masons are very good at collecting money. Okay? They collect money for charity. They have a group of Masons in America called the 30th group. What are they called? It'll come back to me. Anyway, the Shriners. They're called the Shriners. Okay? They have hospitals for children. They go around the country with circuses, and they raise millions and millions of dollars. Well, I'll tell you what these men do. Okay, these guys in Cairo were doing the same thing. It's old. This is the old guard in Cairo before Nasser. Okay, these guys are raising money, charity, they say. The Shriners do the same thing. They raise $100 million, give $5 million to the children, put the other 95 in their pocket. These guys are members of the leaders. They're already oppressing the people and robbing the people, and then they're raising more money, and they're keeping most of it, and they're giving some of it to the children, and they're saying, "Hey, look at us, we're so good." They're taking your money. They're raising your money. They're already stealing from you. Then they organize a charity. They take more from you. Then they give it back to some poor children, and they keep most of it for themselves. That's what they do. They hide behind charitable works. Freemasons are amongst the most cunning liars in the world. Not the guys at the grassroots level, not the guys that are in the clown outfits. They're having a good time. They're enjoying themselves. They don't know what their leaders are doing with the money. They just collect it. Now, I just want to bring this up because we'll come back to this at another lecture. This is Israel, the Supreme Court building. Here you have their Masonic symbol. This is on a main avenue in Jerusalem. This is a major Masonic symbol, and this is a major monument. This is the pyramid on top of the Supreme Court building. Here's the Supreme Court building. That's where the pyramid is. And here it is in a closer view. This pyramid belongs to Pharaoh. It's part of his religion. It has occult mystic concepts, which are realities associated with it. The magic associated with this stuff is real. It's not a joke. Freemasons just use it as a symbol to try and cover themselves by teaching moral principles using the symbol to remember the moral. That's what they teach the lower classes. But at the upper level, they practice magic. They practice Pharaoh's magic. They love Pharaoh. Now, the other important thing I want you to remember here is Baron Rothschild. Baron Rothschild owns the Bank of England. He owns half the Federal Reserve Bank in America. The Federal Reserve Bank is not a government-owned institution. The Federal Reserve Bank is a private bank owned by Zionists and Freemasons, for the most part. That's what it is. The national debt that America owes, the interest on that debt goes into this man's pocket. He's the one that built the Supreme Court House. He's a Zionist. He's a Freemason. He's also a Satanist. He has a history that goes back a long way. I'll go into that history later. I just want to introduce it tonight. Remember that name, Rothschild. Some of you have heard of him before. Some of you don't think you know about what he is all about, but you don't. So bear with me. Okay? I love to teach this stuff. Okay. Let's go here. Here's some more symbols. Remember the pyramid? Well, here it is on the American dollar bill. New World Order, right down there. 1933. Put on the dollar bill by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. A Freemason, 33rd degree. Now I'll tell you a little bit, another story about this, and that is John Kennedy didn't like that pyramid. He didn't like the fact that the Federal Reserve building was privately owned. He didn't like the fact that the Federal Reserve was controlling the money in America. So he's going to do something about it. He started printing his own money with the real government bank, money that was backed by silver. That's why he was killed. That's why he was murdered. I'll tell you something about John Kennedy's assassination. The bullet that killed him came from the front. Oswald was shooting from behind. There was a Warren Commission that examined this whole thing, and they said Oswald killed him. The autopsy report's not in the Warren Commission report. But Oswald's mother's dental records are in the report. Every man on that Warren Commission was a Freemason. Every man. This is what I'm meaning by divided loyalties. Those men didn't work for America, and the Warren was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Earl Warren, 33rd degree Mason. He didn't work for America. He worked for Mr. Rothschild. That's why Kennedy was killed, because he was going to take the power away from Rothschild. The power away from the Zionists, the power away from the Freemasons. They killed him. They did the same thing to Abraham Lincoln, because Lincoln was doing the same thing. John Wilkes Booth was a Freemason, 32nd degree. They said they killed him. No. He lived. He went to England. There's proof of that. Lincoln and Kennedy were killed for the same reason. They were trying to save America's autonomy, and they failed. Well, they didn't fail. They succeeded. Inshallah, we'll talk to them in Jannah. Now, this slide. Well, you see here's John Ford. What's his name? President Gerald Ford. You see? Now look at that. There's a fez. He's got the fez hat. 33rd degree. He's a Shriner. He's a Shriner. And you see, there's the lunar. And we're going to talk about that star. That star is very important. Here's a communist gathering. I think this is in Hungary. After the Second World War. Russian symbol. But that's also the Freemasonic symbol. Communists are Masons. Trotsky was a Mason. Stalin was a Mason. They all work for the same people. Oh, you thought they were enemies, did you? You thought they were enemies. No. Okay. This is important to know about the star, but here's where I want you to look at this eye. This comes from King Tut's tomb. You see this eye? It's the same eye that's there on the top of the pyramid. It is the eye of Horus. This is the Egyptian god, the god of enlightenment. You've heard of the age of enlightenment? Well, many of those people who were doing the enlightening were Freemasons. This is a 32nd degree lapel pin with the Nazi swastika. Pretty, isn't it? These are all Freemasonic symbols. Skull and bones. Well, guess who that belongs to? That's pirates? Oh, we'll talk about them later. I love pirates. Well, I love to talk about them anyway. At least they're honest thieves. A real pirate is an honest thief. I'd rather have my daughter marry him than a banker. Okay. Are there any bankers here? Sorry. Skull and bones. Nazi insignia. Right from the lapel. Okay? Skull and bones. Guess whose symbol this is? President George Bush.